Shields up, Ironbreakers, and welcome back to Monster Hunter Wilds. Earlier today we had the October Showcase, which brought with it a wealth of new reveals as well as brand new information about the game. So in today's video I'm going to be going over the trailer and analyzing it to the best of my ability. However, before we begin, I feel like we should give it just a once-over watch. It is a 3-minute trailer. Then after that, I'm going to be breaking it down. We're going to be pausing multiple times and doing the whole 9 yards you guys are used to. So let's take a look at the trailer uninterrupted.
Oh, is this it?
Welcome, travelers. I present you Azuz, the Everforge.
They're starting without us! Just look at that firebrand go.
We beckon the fire spring with our own hands!
No! We never wanted this to happen!
No stopping it now. Not once it starts flowing.
Why? This wasn't supposed to happen.
Black flame.
Bro, these trailers are out of control! Out of control, I'm telling you. There's also obviously some more news that I believe we'll see here. Here we go. These timings, there's actually some better timings out there, but yeah, in terms of like what time zone and stuff like that. And then obviously the usual product information that we tend to see from Monster Hunter, all the pre-order and whatnot. So we're gonna go back here and we're gonna watch this, but this time with pauses. I'm gonna lower the volume so that it's not as abrupt whenever I do pause it. But we start things off and we are in the brand new locale, which I've actually pulled out here. It is the Oil Well Basin. That is the third locale that they've announced. And obviously, as you can tell, the inclemency period of this particular locale is going to be about the fire. There's going to be fire, and it seems like this would be its natural state. So like the fallow state, I believe is what it's called, the very first state that it will be in. Then you have the inclemency state right here, which is when fire is happening. And this would be the age of, not the age, but like the period of plenty. So you have neutral state, inclemency, which is when everything starts burning. And then we have the plenty, which is when everything's dried off and you have like cleaner water and stuff like that. At least these are my predictions so far because we don't have detailed information about the locale at this point. What we do know is that this is a volcanic region where oil wells and raging fires burn, home to unique creatures that have adapted to its harsh environment. And we're going to be taking a look at these monsters a little bit closer as we go through the trailer itself. But yeah, this is the new locale. And interestingly enough, earlier today I did a live stream where I was hanging out with Gaijin. You guys might check that out if you're curious. We're, just talking, having some banter ahead of the show. And then we tried analyzing the trailer to the best of our ability, looking at the website and all of that stuff. And when we were discussing what was potentially going to be the area revealed today, I actually said, I think that if they're going to reveal something today, it will be a fire region. And I guess I was right. So we got the volcanic region for Monster Hunter Wilds. Let's continue here with the trailer. So, and I know I just paused it again, but this is a super important detail. So if you notice here, you will see that you have Team Avis, which is us, the Hunter, the Palico, Gemma, and Alma. Team Avis, Nata, as well as Team Astrum. You have Olivia here, Athos, Werner, and I'm assuming the other more eccentric fellow is either a little bit lagging behind or might show up afterwards. But a really cool thing that I like about this is obviously you can see that we have some sacreds here that are carrying a bunch of our stuff. They're carrying like if we're a wandering caravan. Now, the reason why this is super important is because this is one of the themes that we have in Monster Hunter for Ultimate, which is the one where we go and we travel from village to village. And I've always said that that is one of my favorite Monster Hunter stories, precisely because we go from village to village as opposed to always operating from the same village. It was really special. It was really cool. And I really appreciate all of the parallels that are being drawn between Wilds and For You. Like we have the sand skiff going on to that desert location, which is kind of like very similar to when we first arrive in Monster Hunter for Ultimate. Then we have the theme between, obviously Gemma and Little Miss Forge, all of the references that we have there. Now we also have our group traveling from village to village, which is something really, really cool. And I'm not saying that this means, it's like a recreation of For Ultimate or anything. I'm saying that they share a lot of themes, and then that is something that has me really excited for the story potential of Wilds because, again, For You still remains one of my favorite Monster Hunter stories. So let's continue here.
Oh, is this it?
Welcome, travelers. I present you Azuz, the Everforge.
Azuz the Everforge. So an important thing here is what we hear is that these people here, they've established this outpost around the Everforge, but it doesn't necessarily say that they were the ones who made it. So there is space here for some theories where you can be thinking like, ooh, maybe, an ancient civilization actually made the Everforge. Maybe the Everforge actually serves a lot of different purposes. Or maybe these guys were actually the ones who created the Everforge for whatever reason. But suffice it to say that this is basically a society that evolved around the Everforge, and they kind of like grew from the Everforge, which is this really large mechanical structure that we're going to be messing around with, which is cool. And this is like a society of blacksmiths and stuff. Like, just look at the size of this thing, right?
Azuz, the Everforge.
Just look at the size of this thing. This is the Everforge. You see all of these little, fiery not devices, like, all these pots and stuff like that is like channeling, heat into various different things. It's really cool looking.
They're starting without us. Just look at that firebrand go.
So here we see Gemma refer to this little girl as a firebrand. Probably the theory that me and Gaijin were thinking about is that she also happens to be a blacksmith, and that firebrand is kind of like a reference to her also being like a small little blacksmith girl. And here we have a couple of small monsters. You can see that these guys have like some melted gold on top of them or something, like whatever the mineral happens to be that they extract from this location. Potentially because of the fire spring period, which is when everything's set up ablaze, that ore melts on top of these creatures, I would imagine. It seems like they're having some territorial dispute with these other small creatures here. I still don't know what the names of these dudes are. I don't know if that's in the website yet. I don't think it is. And then we have like a big old splotch of oil, which is going to come into play pretty soon. Now we see some bats as we're exploring through the area, and that right there, extremely important. I think that pretty much most people would accept that this is our hunter grabbing onto a creature that I would imagine this is some type of creature that in order to survive in the warm environment or the extremely even heat environment that it has here, it collects these large blotches of really, really fresh water and it processes it some way, or maybe it's not even a creature, maybe it's like a natural growth or whatever. But the point is, this is likely a mechanic for our cold potions. So you'll be able to craft a cold potion, bring it with you out into the field, or you can grab one of these bad boys on your way into the hot area, because you can see we're traversing from a normal area into a hot area, and this will allow you to remain fresh while you're in there. At least that's the vibe that I'm getting. See how the hunter even glows white when you do that? So yeah, and here we see like a big sewage pipe. I believe that these pipes are connected to the Everforge, which is why eventually this whole place is going to be set ablaze. Although it does beg me to pose the question, what would happen if I was to just come in here with my gun lance and perform a full burst? Would I blow up the whole place? Or is this oil like somewhat fire resistant? Because the gun lance fires and there's big explosions. I came in here, full burst. It's like, oh, what happened? Oh, Rurikhan went down there, did another full burst, and started the fire spring again. We can see some oil popping up here. This is actually one of the new monsters that we see coming up here, whose name is Rompopolo, or something like that. Now, let's actually take a look at this boy right here. We have him here, Rompopolo. Like I said, a brute wyvern that inhabits areas of deep oil silt. Now, the thing about this dude is that he actually has this mechanic where he puts gas down into the oil and makes it like blow up with different, because of the pressure that he has. Essentially, he farts in the oil, and you're going to see that in the video. And this was actually written on the Japanese website, where the description was a little bit more detailed in the description that we're getting on the English website. And another thing, which pretty much the conclusion that everybody reached once they saw Rompopolo here, is that this is likely the monster that is featured on the Hammer set that we've seen previously in the Hammer trailer, as well as other videos that featured this specific set. This is definitely the same monster, at least from what we can tell here. Definitely looks like it, particularly because you can see all of these like surgical tools and instruments that are in the belt. And a little bit further ahead, you're going to be seeing that the lance version of this monster is also like a giant syringe, which is pretty cool. But yeah, you guys will see him do his little thing here. So basically these things, he's a brute wyvern, and these things here, these are some sacks. And my suspicion is that as we hit these sacks, we're probably going to deflate them. Like whenever we get a break part on this monster, he's going to start looking a little bit more deflated. At least I hope that's the case, because that would be pretty cool. But yeah, he definitely puffs up with gas, and then he uses that gas to create like these pockets of air. And as you can see, there's like gas over here and gas over here. I don't know if this becomes flammable and then he just starts spewing out fire once we're in the fire spring, or what the deal is with that, but we shall see. Like here you can see him doing his little fart thing. Like if you actually pay attention to this part, like notice how the air is coming in, going through the ground, then it causes all these explosions around him. That's all from him farting. And then here we have our boy coming in, beating the crap out of Rompopolo right here. This dude is the, what's his name again? Rurikhan. And he is basically Fire Rajang, okay, with a big long tail. He's Fire Rajang. That's what he does. He's gonna beat you down. You can see that he also has like ape like features, and we'll actually see him like climbing up on top of structures and doing ape-like things, which is pretty cool. It says, the fanged beast characterized by the flame-like protrusions that cover its back. So yeah, he's basically Fire Rajang. Be ready for Fire Rajang. He looks so badass. Look at him climbing in here. Now, one of the things that Gaijin was saying is that this stuff reminded him of Quechahuacha, which could potentially be like, you know, if we're getting returning monsters, I actually think that Quechahuacha would be a really cool low-tier monster for them to introduce. I don't know how many people have ever even played against Quechahuacha, because not that many people played for Ultimate when compared to the numbers of World, Iceborne, Rise, Sunbreak, that type of stuff. But it's a pretty cool thing. So you have him in here. Here we have a clash using a Charge Blade. Charge Blade sword looks so big in this footage. But yeah, here we see the Everforge. They're lighting it up. They're doing some type of ritual. So we got here, and I would assume that potentially we do like some type of hunt for them when we get here. Like maybe they're trying to get the Everforge going, when we first arrived at this location, and they're like, oh, we need your help, Hunter, come help us, and we go and we collect some type of material for them. Like maybe we fight one of those fire Rajangs, and then we get a material from him, and that is used to fix up the Everforge. And then eventually, when we pull the trigger on this, things don't go exactly as planned. So the lady here says we beckoned the fire spring with our own hands. But Werner here from Team Astrum is not necessarily convinced. You'll notice that all these people are super excited, and Werner's like, I don't know about that. Almost as if Werner has potentially seen the Everforge before, and he knows a couple of things that we don't. And as you can see, the Everforge begins igniting and everything starts burning and everything changes in the locale. We're now in the insurgency period, which is called, I think, the fire spring, most likely. And boom. In here, we also see a new trap, which is, I mean, I don't know exactly what we're calling this, potentially the Bonkinator. I don't know. It's like the Dragonator, but bonk. And as you can see, it hammers creatures down. You'll be able to trigger it manually. I'm assuming this will have like a cooldown period or something, and potentially only available during the inclemency period, because as you can see, when he uses it, everything is on fire. But again, this is all speculation. I don't actually know if that's the case or not. Also, I would like to point out, because I was very distracted when I first watched this part of the trailer, I was focusing on everything around me and I wasn't really focusing on the weapon, but this right here is a sword and shield and it looks really, really cool. I love how it looks like mechanical and stuff like that. I think it looks really nice. And then here we see the lance. This right here, people are telling me, is the mount finisher, because people are starting to think, oh, what type of attack is that? I haven't really seen the lance finisher, the mount finisher, because when I played lance, I didn't really get a mount. But yeah, and as you can see, the lance looks kind of like a syringe, so most likely this is the Rompopolo version of the lance, which is like a surgical tool type thing. Pretty cool. I think it looks nice. Boom. Nice little mount finisher there. As you can see, we never wanted this to happen. Things aren't really going according to plan when it comes to the Everforge here. But Werner, once again, suspiciously, one might say, is going like, almost, again, as if he knew that this was going to happen. Again, it could just be me overanalyzing things, but I have a sneaky suspicion that Team Astrum is there to keep us from learning the truth about some dark, deep guild secret. Okay? You guys know me. I'm all about the guild conspiracies. It is what it is. Let's get it.
No stopping it now. Not once it starts flowing.
So this indicates that we can't stop this anymore. So that's kind of like what potentially begins the cycle of inclemency in this particular locale. I was wondering, and I think it would be cool if the firebrand, fire spring, whatever they call it, once the inclemency period starts, if that was actually triggered by us, if we could come to the Everforge and do something, and that would trigger the fire spring. But it looks like it's going to be cyclical because you can't stop it, is what they're saying. So yeah. And then now, where have you guys seen anything like that? Would you say that that reminds you of a little monster called Nikarkos? Now, it's not Nikarkos itself, but, you know, the two tentacles coming out definitely reminded me a lot of Nikarkos, not just me. Gaijin even said that one of the animations that they do in here is a dead giveaway for a previous animation of Nikarkos. But it's kind of like Nikarkos is more like a squid type of creature, whereas this one is more like an octopus. Some people call them oiltopus, which I also thought was kind of neat. Yeah, you can see him here, and in here he's actually strangling two of these little good boys. The Rurikhan. He's strangling two of these in his little tentacles right there. Why? This wasn't supposed to happen. It's all your fault. She did it. Look at him. Yeah, that right there is the animation that Gaijin was telling me. Oh man, it's just like the Nikarkos roar. When he goes like with his little arms. Yeah, and it looks like he's able to channel the fire. It looks like this monster will show up once we trigger the Everforge for the very first time. He's got like all these cool coloring in its eyes and whatnot. And in here, he actually got to grab on a hunter. So he grabbed our hunter, and you can see the hunter's like struggling here. He's going to start like using his carving knife to stab to try and get away. This seems like it's a pin move, so potentially other players might be able to help you get out of this pin. But if you're alone, good luck. Maybe there'll be tools, like maybe you'll be able to pull out your slinger, shoot him in the eyes, and that will stagger him from doing the attack or something like that. But you'll notice that he's starting to form this little ring here, and it is putting out some oil. Now, people in my chat were saying that this is actually something that octopi use. Is that how you say octopus in plural? Octopi? I don't know. But that this is something that they actually use to navigate, so it shoots out water as they are navigating through the water. It's like a propeller of some sorts, except in here, our little cousin of Nakarkos, distant cousin of Nakarkos, is using it to pump out oil, and it is going to ignite it and transform our little hunter here that's struggling. They call it the Black Flame. They're going to transform our little hunter here into a well-done hunter. And that is the end of the trailer. Which, damn, I'm so friggin' hyped. I wish that they didn't reveal quite as much, but, you know, it is what it is. I'm going to be watching it. I'm a content creator. This is my job, but... And obviously... the biggest news, they announced the beta. Now, these times in GMT timings, this is going to be 3 in the morning on Tuesday. So on the evening from Monday to Tuesday, that's 3 in the morning. That's going to be same thing here on October 21st. Will actually be November 1st at 3 in the morning for the regular. So the way that this is going to work is if you have PlayStation Plus, you get to start the beta early. Which... is like, come on, man. Did you really have to do, like, PlayStation? Come on, man. What are you doing? It really sucks that not everybody gets to start at the same time. This is, you know, I'm not a fan of this. I'm just gonna come out and say I'm not a fan. Like, look, I'm taking advantage of it. I'm getting my PlayStation Plus, and we're gonna be streaming this up the second this thing goes live. As a matter of fact, probably by tomorrow, the day after, I'll already have like an event here on the channel so that you guys are aware when the event is going live and know that that is when the beta begins. So yes, we're gonna be playing this next week, which is way sooner than I expected. I thought that the first demo was going to be coming around on the Game Awards. I thought that was what made the most sense. But it seems like basically Gaijin's theory was correct, which Gaijin was saying, okay, they're doing this tour where they're making the game playable in Germany, then Japan, then, you know, New York and all of these different locations. And they're not going to release the demo before then so that, you know, the people have a reason to actually go to these venues and play the game there. But once all those events are done, so like at the end of Paris Games Week, which ends on the 27th, then they can release it out to the general public so that everybody else can play as well. So this makes perfect sense. Although the fact that they're announcing it now might also mean that there's going to be some people that maybe will end up not going to Paris Games Week because they're like, hey, you know, this thing's coming out the day after Paris Games Week ends. I'll just play it then. But, you know, we've gotten the confirmation as to when this is coming. And it is going to be having crossplay once it releases on all the platforms. And we'll be able to test crossplay. We'll be able to test the performance. And I think that is one of the most important things because that has been the biggest point of discussion. One of the biggest points of discussion for Monster Hunter Wilds, without a doubt, has been, is it going to perform well? Is it going to, you know, perform on my system? Is it not? And now you get to test it. You get to see exactly how it's going to perform on your system of choice. And that way you can make an informed purchasing decision as to whether that performance is acceptable to you or not. Now, let me tell you, I'm going to play it even if it's 30 FPS. I don't care because no other game does it like Monster Hunter. So it is what it is. But I like the fact that people will get to test it out. You got like a whole week to test this out. So we have plenty. I mean, not a whole week because obviously if you're on PC or Xbox, you get a weekend. Okay. But even if you don't plan on playing too much, just join in to test the performance for your system. That would be my recommendation because then we can finally put the performance issue to bed. Either things are going to be really, really bad or things are going to be really, really good. So keep that in mind. Check that out, and we'll be able to talk more about that. Then, as for what is the content that is going to be available on the beta, there's going to be, number one, character creation, and the character creation is going to be the full character creation. So the same character creation that you're going to be getting in the full game. As a matter of fact, you can create your character in the beta, and then you can import it in the final version of the game, which is really, really cool. Although I almost wish that they would just release a separate version of just the character creator, because I understand that for the testing, they want to do it on specific times and all of that stuff. I get it, but you don't need to do that for the character creator. You could just release a separate version of the character creator, like what they did for Dragon's Dogma 2, because that was really cool, and people got to spend a bunch of time creating their characters and really figuring stuff out ahead of the game being released. So that's really cool. You'll be able to import whatever characters you create in the beta on the final version of the game. And then there's two quests. There's a story quest that will allow you to experience the story. This is one of the quests that I did when I was at Gamescom, and then there's the Doshiguma quest. Now, the Doshiguma quest is going to be where most people are going to be spending most of their time, because in that quest, if it is the same quest that I did at Gamescom, there's going to be a multitude of monsters that you will be able to hunt. You'll be able to test out the SOS system. That is going to be the one quest where you'll be able to play as multiplayer, because the story quest, you have to play it as single player. And basically, that is going to be what most people are going to be spending their time on, I would expect, because you get to explore the map. The story quest is going to be very, very linear. You just go in there, you see some cutscenes, you hunt the Chotacabra, which will probably take you about 5 minutes. It's super easy. And then another cutscene plays out, and that's it. That's the story quest. So make sure that you, at the very least, play through the Doshiguma quest once, because I believe that even after you kill the Doshiguma, you get to keep roaming around, because that's the way that it worked at Gamescom. You get to keep playing the game for 30 minutes. I don't know if there's going to be a time limit on this one, and then they'll have you like reset. But in that quest, if it's the same quest I did, you'll also be able to fight Chotacabra, Balahara, the entire Doshiguma pack if you want to, or just the Alpha Doshiguma, as well as Ray Dao. So you get to fight all of those monsters that were in there. You get to absorb the wildlife. You get to test out the new fishing system. You get to go swimming. You get to go underwater, do the swimming thing that they showed in the live streams. At least that is what I believe is going to be available on the beta. So you most definitely will want to check that out. But that is pretty much it. The rest of this stuff is just announcements for the game. They also gave a special announcement on the PlayStation version, indicating that it's going to support all of the special features of the DualShock, like haptic feedback on the triggers, haptic feedback on the controller, vibrations, aiming, and all that stuff. And to me, I'm just like, I wish you'd bring all those features onto the PC, but I don't think that's going to be the case. PlayStation's kind of like playing that one close to the vest. They're trying to get as much exclusive stuff as they possibly can from Monster Hunter, because they know that Monster Hunter is going to be a hot property. But anyways, that's going to be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed this, do hit that like button. It really helps me out. Subscribe, bell notification icon, all of that jazz. And yeah, are you hyped for Monster Hunter Wilds? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe. Peace out.